Morning.
Morning, how are you?
How we doing? You guys stay at the Luskin Center before games, is that right?
Yes.
So are you going to be able to peek over at Wilson Plaza?
I don't know if you
before
can
you
see
leave?
from there.
Well, maybe take a little stroll over there.
No. We have a morning routine that we'll do. We do a shakeout in the morning. We'll eat breakfast and we'll go to work.
What time do you guys usually leave?
At 9 o'clock.
Do you have any thoughts on who should be the guest picker for GameDay for UCLA?
They didn't ask you?
They should have.
They didn't. I asked the question. They didn't ask you?
No, I would have picked Jack Black.
You would have picked Jack Black?
Yeah.
I would pick Bill Walton.
Mm-hmm.
Can he fit into an 8-minute segment?
Nope. Not at all. I just thought he would be the most entertaining. That's the fun part of that. I think Bill Walton, Coach Corso would be I would pay to see that. So I take Bill Walton, but no one asked me. No one asked me that's in charge. You did ask me, but no one that has any say asked me. So
I think you said
I went Ben first, Bill Walton second.
I love it.
So,
I wasn't here Monday, but I think you said you were going to talk to the team about just the hubbub about it or something to that effect.
I don't think I used the word hubbub, but they asked me if I had talked to the team yet, and I did not on Monday because we were still in Big Ten mode and we're going. So we talked to them about it last night. It's a great thing for our fans. It's a great thing for the students on campus. I've been through them before. It really doesn't affect your team because you're not in it. You're not at it. So, and because we have a 12:30 kick, we're out of here. So we'll be gone before it's over. So I think it's awesome for the fans. I think it's awesome for their families. I think it's awesome for the students on this campus. I think it's awesome to show what a great university this is. But for us, our sole focus and attention is really on the game itself and playing a really good Oregon teams.
How has Kyle Phillips looked during practice this week?
Good.
And still available?
It's still available.
Okay, good.
Today's Wednesday.
Talk about Anthony Brown, the Oregon quarterback. He seems pretty effective throwing the intermediate passes and running as well. What have you seen? What
He's a lot like
you?
a lot of the kids we face in this league that has the ability to beat you with both his arm and his leg. He's a really good athlete. He's a transfer from Boston College. Joe Moorhead does a really nice job with him and putting him in that scheme. So you got to worry about him not only throwing the football, but you got to worry about him pulling it down and tucking it with him. And then sometimes they have design runs. In a critical situation in the Fresno game, fourth down call, they called speed option, put the ball in his hands, and he made a huge play in that game for him. So I know they have a lot of confidence in him, and we've got to be aware of making sure we're really sound in our rush lanes against him because he is a kid that can escape and cause some problems with his legs.
There's been a lot of talk about Thibodeau, but Noah Sewell is turning out to be a pretty impressive linebacker. What have you seen from him?
Noah's a really good player. He's very good at keying and diagnosing plays. He seems like he's a real instinctual player. He's a tough, hard-nosed tackler. But you're 100% right. He's a really good football player.
You guys, I don't know if you saw this, but if you win, you get another day game against Utah. Is that just another thing to?
Yeah, we were going to lose, and then we found out we could play at 12:30, and so now we're going to win. So no, I mean, that's TBU. It's true, but it's useless. So that's nothing we'll talk to our team about. That hey, if we win this game, that gives you this. Again, we don't play football for what we get. We play football for what we become, and we're excited about the challenge of playing Oregon. And whether that means we play at 12 the next week or 10 o'clock the next week, that doesn't factor in anything that we're talking about or doing. It is true, but it's useless in terms of motivation or anything from that standpoint. So.
What have you seen from Antonio Maffi? You cycle in a lot of the guys, but what does he bring to the offense?
Yeah, Neo's obviously made the transition from the defensive line to the O-line. He started it last year. There's so many nuances and keys to that position. And the one thing with Neo that's awesome is he gets better each week. He keeps growing from the experiences that he has. We really feel like he's a starter. We just have some depth in the offensive line that we have more than 5 starters in the O-line. And those guys rotate through. And he's been a real help for us as an inside force. And that's part of what we have a little bit of depth there. And we will use that depth because that's a tough position and it takes a big toll on you. So the fact that we can rotate him in, with John and with Paulie is huge for us right now.
I know you said you don't like to use the transitive property when looking at who's beat who and who you're going up against, but they've played Fresno State and Stanford. How helpful is it to see film of them against teams you've already played?
I mean, that's helpful because you understand what that player is like. So that's not the transitive property. That's just, you get a better. You're comparing something that you've seen in person. I think sometimes the tape is, you can't actually tell some things on some kids, but you can come out of the Stanford game and say, hey, that kid's 6, who's a big, strong, physical wideout, can really run. You watched him catch almost a hitch run against us and split our defense and run down the middle of the field. So how do their corners match up against them? So you can kind of get an idea of speed, because if you really understand the speed of the team that you faced already, then you see that against them. That's a good question because that's helpful. That part of it is helpful. It's not who beat who and how it did it, but you know how fast or strong. If you see a kid get thrown to the ground and you're like, well, that kid just got thrown to the ground. Maybe he doesn't have great pillar strength. Well, we played against that kid. That kid's really strong. He threw our guys to the ground. So you can kind of get a better feel just because you did it. So that's a good question.
The other day, Mario Cristobal said one of the things that concerns him most about your team is the offensive physicality, was the way he put it, especially in the run game. Are you pleased with where the team is with regards to its physical ability?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way to say it is we're pleased, but we're never satisfied. We always can be better. I think we can coach it better, we can execute it better, and that's what the growth is. I think teams that are doing it the right way continue to get better as the season goes along. As long as your depth can stay there. Sometimes there's a drop off because of injury, but part of our identity is that we have to run the football, to be successful, and that's part of what we do. We've got 2 really good backs that kind of set the tone for that standpoint. We have a veteran offensive line, and that's part of kind of our identity. And I think everybody, when you get to 8 games in, everybody kind of is what they are. You know what type of team each team is that you're playing, and your job is to try to defeat their strength, and exploit their weaknesses. And it's the same thing for them that we have to prepare for. So,
with regards to the running game, he pointed out specifically, Brittain and Zach said he's going to have to make sure that they have plenty of defenders on the ball immediately because those guys are so good at yards after contact that you can't bring them down with just one guy. That seems to be what they've been all season, right?
Yeah, those are 2 tough, hard-nosed physical runners they've got a great understanding of angles. They have a great understanding of the blocking scheme. They play with great leverage, and that's their personality. We've seen it all season. When we've seen it for 2 years with Britt, and then Zach is just he's been outstanding since we got him here. So obviously we really feel like our running backs are a strength for us.
Josh Kelley was here the other day. What was it like seeing him again in that smile?
Boring. No smiles. Kind of down in the dumps. No, he's just an amazing human being. As good a football player he is, he's a better person, and he's just got an infectious personality that everybody, he talked to the team briefly just before we started after stretch, and he was Josh, and I'd smile and everything, and then Jay Toya looked at me and he was like, who's that guy? Because Jay wasn't here. And I was like, that's Josh Kelley. And he's like, oh, he goes, he's happy. And I said, I know, he's always happy. That's just Josh. So Josh is like a ray of sunshine every time you're around him. He's just a special young kid, young man, that we're happy for all the success he had. But what he's doing isn't surprising to any of us because that's a kid that's bet on himself his entire life, and he's invested everything he's had in his opportunities and done them. But I wish we had more Josh Kelleys in this one.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.